Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to our new video. Today, inshallah, we will continue with Unit 6, Week 4 from the Your Turn practice book. As you can see, the title of our selection is The Father of Earth Day. Before we go to the questions, please make sure that you read the story carefully so you understand the main ideas that we are going to discuss. We already said that the genre for our unit this time is biography. So this selection that we have here is a biography. So our selection gives us some facts about the Senator Gaylord Nelson. Here he grown up in woods of northern Wisconsin, and after that the actions that he did in order to save the nature or the environment till the last part about his legacy, the history he left after his death. So please make sure that you read the story and you understand the main ideas before you continue with the video and we go through the questions together. Okay? Page 285. Here we can see the first question that we have. What problem did Gaylord Nelson encounter in the US Senate when he tried to get support for environmental issues? If we go back to the first page, in the last paragraph, we can find here, he found that few of his fellow senators shared his concerns. He didn't find enough support to defend the environmental issues. Okay, we can write it here. Few of his fellow senators thought that environmental issues were important. They didn't care about the environmental issues. After that, the other question that we have, what gave Senator Nelson an idea for a solution? Also this part, as you read the story, up here in the second page, Senator Nelson decided to find another way to show Congress that it was important to care for the environment. In 1969, after visiting the site of an oil spill, he read about college students protesting against the Vietnam War. Why not plan a protest against pollution? That part here, or that action here, gave him the idea, which is what the college students protesting against the Vietnam War. How can we write our answer? Here, he read about college students protesting the Vietnam War and thought that he could hold a demonstration, a protest for the environment. He decided to protest for the environment. Okay? Then the third question. In what way did Senator Nelson's call for demonstrations on Earth Day help the environment? In other words, how did this protest or the demonstrations help the environment? Also, if we go up the second page, here in this part, Nelson called for pro-environment demonstrations around the country. The protests were held on April 22. Okay, till now there is nothing about the way it really helped. But down here, about 20 million people across the country took part. Can you imagine the number? 20 million people demonstrated for environment. Of course, as we can read this part here, Congress heard the message and it created the Environmental Protection Agency. Okay, so his way, or the protest he led made the Congress what it forced the Congress to create the Environmental Protection Agency. How can we write our answer? Here, millions of people took part, which convinced Congress to pass environmental legislation, like laws, legislation like a law, a rule. And that was the last question that we have about the first selection. Then we go to the other mini passage that we have, as we can see the title here, Conserving the Wild, to save or to protect the wild. Also, the story or the selection here is a biography. It gives facts about Dr. Edgar Wayburn and his efforts to save the wild. Okay. Also, you should read this passage before you go with the questions. Here, the first question that we have, what genre of text is this? And how do you know? Of course, as you read, and as we already said in the beginning, the genre will be biography. And how do we know? We can say it gives facts about Dr. Edgar Wayburn, or we can say it is about Dr. Edgar Wayburn's efforts to save the wild. How can we write our answer if we have a look here? It is a biography because it gives readers facts about the life of Dr. Edgar Wayburn, who is already a real person. Then, number 2, what aspect or part of Dr. Wayburn's life is featured in this text? Which part of his life is displayed here in this text? If we look here at our illustration or the map, we can see the caption down here. Wayburn helped to protect millions of acres in Alaska. So it is describing or it is illustrating the part that he managed to protect. Here, number 2, Dr. Wayburn's work as a conservationist is featured. Conservationist is a kind of protector, but for nature. Protector for nature. Then, how does the text feature relate to the text? Of course, the text is about Dr. Edgar Wayburn's work to save or to conserve the wild. And here we can see the areas he managed to save. So we can say it illustrates the large areas of land protected by ANILCA, which Dr. Wayburn worked to pass. Of course, we can get this part here, which is Alaska National Interests Land Conservation Act. It's a kind of a law to protect some specific parts of Alaska. After that, how does the heading relate to both the text and the text feature? In other words, what is the relationship between the heading, the title, and the text itself, the words that we read, and the text feature, the map? If we have a look here, conserving the wild. Of course, conserving or saving the wild. This is the action that Dr. Edgar did to save the wild or the specific parts he managed to protect. Also, the title, as we said, Conserving the Wild, and here land protected by ANILCA. So the parts that are already conserved or saved, protected, related to the title. Okay, how can we write this? Here, the word conserving in the heading relates to the main idea of the text, which is his work. Here, Dr. Wayburn helped to conserve wild areas. And also, this is illustrated on the map, which are illustrated on the map. These wild areas are presented here on the map. I hope you understood the answers and the way we got them from the text. The last page that we have is about the synonyms and antonyms. We already said synonyms, words that have the same meaning, and antonyms, words that have the opposite meaning. Here, read each passage and underline the word that is either a synonym or an antonym for the word in bold. Use the synonym or antonym to write a definition of the word in bold. So we need to find the synonym or the antonym to this word in bold, whatever it is, synonym or antonym. We need to underline it, and then we give a definition to this word that we have here. Let's read. Gaylord Nelson developed an affection for nature growing up in the woods of northern Wisconsin. As an adult, he brought his love of land to his political career. Here we have an affection. Even I don't know the meaning of the word, but here I can see an, so it will be a noun. Of course, to find a synonym or an antonym, it must be from the same kind of the word. For example, here we have a noun, so I'm looking for a noun. I'm looking for what? A noun. In this sentence here, as an adult, he brought his love of the land. Why did we say love? Because love of the land, like the same idea here, affection for nature. So affection is a synonym to love. We will underline love. We will underline what? Love. Then the definition of the word affection, we can say love already as it is written there, or caring feeling. Caring feeling. He cares about nature. After that, when he became a governor of Wisconsin in 1959, he worked hard to protect and care for his state's natural resources. His outdoor recreation acquisition program preserved thousands of unspoiled land. Okay, also here we need to find the same kind of word. Preserved, even I don't know the kind of this word, but still I have ed, so I can understand that it is a verb. It is a what? Verb. Okay, so I'm going to search for a verb. When he became the governor, he worked hard to protect and care for his state's natural resources. And also here, this verb about what? About the unspoiled land. So preserved is the same meaning like protect. So we will underline protect and care. We will underline what? Protect and care. And about the definition for preserved here, protected or kept safe. Protected or kept safe. After that, in number 3, the program purchased private lands and converted them into wildlife habitats and public parks. Okay, here we have private lands. Okay, the meaning of private, even I don't know it. Here I can guess it is an adjective because it is describing lands. Describing what? Lands. And convert is a verb, but convert to change. To change. So they changed some lands into public parks. Here we have an antonym. Public is an antonym to private. So we will underline public. We will underline public. And about the definition of private, here, owned by an individual, a person, or not owned by the public. Not for everyone. After that, Nelson hoped President John F. Kennedy could generate support for environmental issues. In 1963, the senator helped plan a national conservation tour for the president, but the tour didn't produce the amount of support for environmental issues that Nelson hoped it would. Okay, so how can we get the word that is related to generate? Of course, it is very clear here because we have generate support, and also here didn't produce the amount of support. Didn't produce the amount of support. So because we have the negative form, it is an antonym. We will underline did not produce. Did not produce. And about the definition of generate, to create or bring about or to produce. After that, number 5, Nelson wanted Congress to pass such laws, but he needed to show that people supported the legislation. We discussed this one while we were reading. We have here laws and legislation. Of course, it is too obvious. It is a noun. We have the before it, okay? And the same thing he wanted from Congress, he also wanted from people. So it is the same meaning. They are synonyms, laws and legislation. We will underline laws, and about the definition, we can say laws passed by a governing body or by the government in general. After that, number 6, Nelson called for pro-environment demonstrations around the country. The protests were held on April 22, 1970, the day Nelson called Earth Day. Also this one here, he called for pro-environment demonstrations around the country. And then he said the protests were held. So we get that demonstrations has the same meaning like protests. They are synonyms. So we will underline protests, and about that definition, we can say protests or rallies for a particular cause, to ask for a specific thing. And that was the last word for our video today. I hope you understood all the part. Please, if you have any question, you can write it on Winjigo. And see you later, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.